The start of a new year for a lot of people means a fresh start, a new beginning. You're gonna change some things in your life, gonna get things going. But for us photographers, it means that we have to assess what we used in our previous year and think about what we're gonna be using for this year for our camera gear. So stay tuned, we're gonna talk about what is my camera bag for landscape photography for 2022. What's up guys, Project Photography, back with another video, finally after a long wait. And today we got a great episode for you guys. We're gonna talk about what is in my camera bag for the year 2022. Now, it's been a while since I've done one of these, and I'm really excited to do this because a lot of things have changed since my previous What is in my camera bag video from I think a year and a half ago. Let's dive right in, talk about what is in my camera bag for 2022 and get right to it. So right off the bat, the first thing that has changed is the camera bag that I'm using. Now, I'm sure a lot of you know that I'm now using the Shimoda Action X30 with the medium-sized camera cube inside, but I'm also using a Peat Design small camera cube on the top layer on top of the medium-sized camera cube. But let's put that aside and let's talk about the Shimoda X Action 30. So overall, I really like this bag a lot. The back axis is incredibly useful because, you know, when you're going out and doing landscape photography shoots, most of the time you're gonna be putting your backpack on the ground and accessing the camera gear from the back, and that is exactly what you are doing with this camera bag. And now the reason why I like the back axis rather than a front axis is because if you put it on the front in terms of accessing the gear, you're gonna be getting your camera or you're gonna be getting your straps dirty. So when you're putting on, it's gonna be all dirty, and you really don't want that. So having the camera access on the back is absolutely crucial and is really useful, especially when I'm shooting on beach landscapes where there's gonna be a lot of sand or even in the snow. All that protects the actual camera gear and the straps from getting dirty. And now having all the access on the back means that I can access all my camera gear at once. I can grab my Nikon Z6 if I want. I can switch out for my Z50. It's really easy to actually do all that stuff. Now, another crucial thing that I think is really important when picking out a bag for landscape photography is how comfortable it is. And this bag in particular is pretty comfortable, I'd say. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it a solid 7. And you know, that's not a bad thing because when it comes to hiking 10, 20 miles at a time, you need to have a bag that is absolutely comfortable. If not, you're gonna be absolutely miserable and you're not gonna have a great time. The reason why this bag is really comfortable is because it has a hip belt on the bottom as well as low lifters on the top. What a hip belt allows you to do is have all the weight on your actual hip, because this can support much more weight than it would for your shoulders. Your shoulders are not going to be able to carry the load as much as possible, and it's going to hurt your shoulders over time. It's going to be a lot more fatigued. And the low lifters are even more important because you can have a great hip belt, but if you don't have the low lifters, those shoulder pads are going to stick to the front of your chest, and it's going to make it really uncomfortable to actually hold. There's going to be a lot of separation from your back and the bag. Low lifters eliminates that problem essentially, allowing you to, you know, carry all the weight on your hip, but not have to feel like the bag is kind of pulling against you. And that's really important, especially when you're carrying 10 to 15 pounds in your bag at a time. Another great aspect I love about this bag is just how much storage there is. So aside from the actual back compartment where you access all of your gear, there is a top part where you can expand it some X amount of liters. It essentially turns this 35-liter bag into around a 45-liter bag, and that's a lot of space. And the rolling compartment makes it really easy to just throw stuff in there and roll it up. Makes it really easy to access it because there's a zipper on the bottom as well. And on the front, we have even more storage where I put pretty much my portable charger and just other miscellaneous things I don't really use. I really don't use this part as much because I just feel like there's so much room in this bag to throw stuff in there. And on top of that, we also have the two side sort of compartments where it allows me to throw my tripod, throw my water bottle in there. There's a lot of storage overall, but overall, like, I really like this bag a lot. Let us move on to the Peat Design small camera cube. Now, a lot of you guys are like, how can you mix a Peat Design product with a Shimoda product? It doesn't really mix. This one actually works really surprisingly well. So I essentially put a small camera cube on top of the medium size camera cube that Shimoda has in particular, and it actually fits extremely well. I didn't realize how good a fit it would be. But essentially, I have my medium-sized camera cube and the small on top. I can have, essentially, I put my microphone in there, I put my light in there, I also put like my filters in there. It's just more storage that I feel like I need immediately at once because a lot of the stuff I use on shoot, like I said, like I need access to it all at once. And this is perfect for that because I can have more room, I can have more storage, and it fits really well. So, you know, it's just such a weird combination, but it works very well. Now, let's talk about the last thing on the outside of the bag, and it is the Peat Design travel tripod. I've had this tripod for a while. I've had it before it even officially launched. I bought it during the Kickstarter campaign, and it is a very good tripod. You know, being able to open up all the clamps at once, just it just works really well. It's very simple to use. And I love the fact that in order to just even move the thing, it has one lock. You don't have to do all these dials and stuff like a traditional ball head we usually have. There's usually two, you know, sort of dials on a ball head. This one just has one. It's really easy to access and use. What I really love about it though is that the fact that it's so compact. If you look at a lot of tripods nowadays, like a lot of them are just really bulky, big, not very efficient with their space. And Peat Design does a very good job when it comes to the design of their products. And this tripod is super compact. Like I essentially throw it in the side of my bag and it's really slim. I don't feel like it's moving anywhere, and especially for travel landscape photography in particular, it is extremely important. Now I have been using this tripod for a while now, and ever since I made my 1-year review, there are some things that have come up. First of all, when I lock my actual camera on the ball head, sometimes it does get a little bit loose, and that's just, you know, how it is when I'm trying to lock the actual like ring. Sometimes it just kind of moves around just a little bit, but it just means you have to lock it even more. That's one small thing. Another thing is you really have to make sure you keep the maintenance up on this tripod, because there's certain things about the tripod aren't nearly as smooth. That's just something you have to do. You have to maintain the tripod and so on. But really, other than that, I really don't have that many issues. It's so great when I'm using my L bracket, and this tripod allows me to do just that. I take out the little side rings on the side, but you know, that's fine to take off the screws. But other than that, like this tripod works really well. It's exactly what I need. I just need to make sure to maintain the actual tripod, and the head coming loose sometimes is a little annoying. But other than that, like the tripod works extremely well, and I'm very happy to have it. I really wouldn't want any other tripod just because of how compact it is, how easily it works, and how simple it is to actually operate. Now let's move on to the meat and potatoes of my actual kit. Let's talk about the photography stuff first, and I'll talk about my video stuff after. I don't think the video stuff is nearly as important, but I have to throw it in there. But let's talk about the photography stuff first. And a lot of this kit you guys already know. Let's jump right in. The Nikon Z6 is my primary photo camera. Now, not the Z6 II, the original Z6 that came out in 2018. Now, I love this camera. This honestly might be one of my most favorite cameras of all time because of just how it just works really well. In particular for landscape photography, I can't see more that I would need in a landscape camera. The dynamic range, the image quality, the colors that you get from Nikon cameras are just so unreal. Like every time I take photos, I'm just blown away by how good it is. It's just crazy to think that I've had this camera for 3 years now. I've been using on every single shoot, and every single time I'm just blown away by how good the photos are. It's crazy. Like I really don't have any huge complaints. The only minor complaint I really have is that when you put the actual timer on to the 5 or 10-second timer or whatever, and then you turn the camera off, turn it back on, it goes to single shot. Like that's a really minor annoyance, but other than that, like I really have nothing to complain about this camera. It's extremely good, does exactly what you need to do. Now, the Nikon Z6 isn't enough. We need the L bracket on the side, and what I've been using for my L bracket is by Sunway Photo. It's just a standard Nikon Z6 L bracket. I think it was like $50, so it's actually not super expensive, and it's really good. It does exactly what you need to do for an L bracket. It has the arc assist plate on the bottom, has an arc assist plate on the side, so you can shoot in that vertical orientation, and it works really well. Something else that I really love about this L bracket in particular, it has a little screw mount on the side. And what that allows me to do is attach my microphone as well as the monitor on top. So when I'm actually filming myself, I can have my microphone, I can have my monitor, I can have all these things to actually help me, you know, make content for you guys. And it's really useful. But yeah, great L bracket overall. And this system is really good for getting those vertical shots in particular. Now let's talk about the lens that makes all these photos possible. It is a Nikon 14-30. Now, this lens in part, it is easily the best wide-angle lens I've ever used. And I've used wide-angle zooms that are at 2.8 and all of that. The thing that separates this lens in particular is it's a 14mm lens with an 82mm screw-on filter ring, and it also lets me, you know, twist and lock it to make it even more compact when I'm traveling. And on top of it, it is like 482 grams. Like having all of that in one package as a landscape photographer is absolutely huge. You know, your goals are to travel lightweight. Your goals are to travel compact. You want to be able to fit as much stuff in your bag because, you know, space in your bag is an absolute premium as a landscape photographer. Having all these things in one lens is so incredible. And then on top of it, the image quality is unreal. I've taken hundreds, thousands of photos with this lens, and it's just every single time blown away by how good the image quality is. It's always sharp corner to corner. I have no problem with vignetting with the lens in particular. and it's just so great to travel with. I don't feel like I'm carrying this big hunk of, you know, glass around everywhere. I just really like it. People think, oh, the locking mechanism doesn't make professional, but in reality, I would want to keep that on this lens in particular, because if you're traveling with it, like I said, space is at a premium. So you want to make sure that you have as much space as possible, and this lens allows you to do that. And being lightweight means that you don't have to break your back carrying camera gear around. So absolutely love this lens. I really wouldn't change it out for anything. The only thing I'd really want is probably a 20mm 1.8, just for astro in particular. But yeah, 14 to 30, amazing lens. So now let's move on to my telephoto camera system. What I'm using is a Nikon Z50 as the body. I just want to preface this by saying the Nikon Z50 is not a bad camera by any means. It does have pretty good image quality, and you know, it allows you to travel light, weight, and compact. My main problem with the Z50 is that it's just an APS-C, you know, sensor. Like, you don't get nearly as good image quality as a full frame camera. Like, there's just no going around that. The dynamic range isn't as good, the colors aren't as good, you know. But when it comes to everything else about the camera is very good. And the only reason why I'm really saying this is a gripe is because I'm just really particular about my image quality. Like, I think after using the Z50, I've realized that I absolutely need full frame quality. Like, you just want it to be, you know, very similar across the board. When I'm using my Z6 and I have to move to the Z50, and it's like, it's a different sort of look, a different sort of feel. And the full frame image quality allows me to just get more dynamic range, more colors, better contrast, just a better look overall that I just really can't achieve with my Nikon Z50. But that doesn't mean that you can't get great photos out of it, because I have gotten some great photos like I'm going to show you right now. You can get great photos. Which for me in particular, I think I'm definitely going to prefer a full frame camera over an APS-C. But like, honestly, if you really need a landscape photography camera, this is a great camera to get. And the main reason why I actually got this camera is because the only lightweight telephoto lens that Nikon has for the Nikon Z system is the 50 to 250 Dx Telephoto Lens. Now, this is actually a very good lens. Very small, very lightweight, very compact, exactly what you need in a lightweight telephoto for landscape photography. And it actually has really good image quality. It's really sharp and all of that. And you know, a lot of people say, oh, it's a plastic, but then that allows me to carry more lightweight, and it's not like I need this heavy metal lens to do all my landscape photography. It's great at what it does exactly what I need to do. Having this telephoto allows me to isolate subjects in particular. You know, you want to capture those mountainsides in the background. You want to be able to, you know, isolate certain subjects in particular in a landscape, showcase them in all of its glory that a wide angle simply can't do. Wide angles are meant to capture the entirety of the landscape, while telephotos meant to isolate certain subject matters in the landscapes. Now let's talk about the last piece of photography equipment that I think is absolutely crucial, and that is the ND filters. Now I have three. I have a B+W 3-stop ND. I also have the 10-stop B+W, and then I have a KNF 1:5 variable ND. Let's talk about all three of them. First of all, 3-stop filter from B+W. This is actually a really good filter overall. B+W makes incredible filters. And what I love about this is it doesn't have much color cuts, doesn't have much vignetting, and it keeps the image quality pretty much the same throughout the entire spectrum of the photo. And what this allows me to do is when I'm actually shooting landscapes, particularly water, is allows me to reduce the shutter speed to about a second to half a second and allow the movement of the water come in, and I capture that moving water. And I like to do this because it creates a different dynamic to the photo. It creates a lot of movement in the photo, and that's what I really want to do, in particular when I'm shooting landscapes with water up close. Now, the 10-stop filter, on the other hand, is on the opposite side of the spectrum. What I'm trying to do with this filter is create smoothness in the water. You know, we're shooting for 30 to like 2-minute exposures. I've even shot 10-minute exposures with this 10-stop filter, and the results are actually very, very good. My main problem is if I'm shooting landscapes with a lot of sun in the middle, or I'm shooting landscapes at a very dark time, that vignetting starts to become a problem and very prominent. But when I don't really have those issues, and I can shoot especially midday to closer to sunset, but not exactly at sunset because then it becomes too dark, you know, those photos come out very, very well. Vignetting is not nearly as much of an issue. Vignetting is definitely still there. I mean, I'm using a 10-stop filter on a 14mm lens. Like, of course there's going to be vignetting. But overall, this helps me create exposures that other pieces of gear won't allow me to create. Right, we can create those 30-second exposure, we can create those minute exposures, and it really helps, you know, diversify the type of looks I can get with water, with the same landscape. So really like the 10 and 3-stop filter. They're both great filters from B+W. Let's move on. This is more going into the video side of things, actually. Let's move on to the KNF 1:5 ND filter. Now this is actually a very good filter. I was very surprised. It's not a super expensive filter, but for what it does and for what I needed to do, essentially stop down when I'm shooting video, allows me to get, you know, that nice blur in the background, shoot at f4, shoot at f2.8. This filter does exactly that with very minimal color cast, very minimal sharpness reduction, and so on. Now let's talk about a little miscellaneous thing. The rocket blower, pretty self-explanatory, helps blow out dust when I'm actually on shoot. You know, I don't want dust in my photos, I don't want dust on the sensor, so this just helps get rid of that. Now let's talk about more video stuff. Now this is more stuff I need for when I'm actually making YouTube videos for you guys on the road. If I wasn't doing YouTube, I wouldn't need pretty much any of these things to actually go out and do my photography. But let's talk about it anyways. So the Rode Videomic Pro Plus is the first piece I want to talk about. Now this is an absolutely great microphone. You know, I use it with my Nikon Z6, and the Z6 does not have the best preamps. So when you're shooting audio without something like this, you're gonna have a lot of issues when it comes to audio. You're gonna have hissing, and it's not gonna be a fun time. Now it's just good quality. It allowed pretty much all my audio comes from here. It just works really well. So yeah, Rode Videomic Pro Plus is an absolute essential for me. And plus I have the dead cat on there, so when I'm out there shooting video in the wind, like wind is pretty much non-existent now, which I really love. So the Atmos Shinobi, which is actually the monitor I'm using right now, it just allows me to see myself when I'm shooting. And the Nikon Z6 doesn't have a flip out screen, so I need to resort to this, and it's really good because it's super lightweight, allows me to see myself, and it's really, really bright. Like, I love that about this monitor. It's huge, and it just works. It's a monitor. Now let's talk about the GoPro Hero 9. For the longest time, I had a GoPro Hero Plus. The GoPro Hero 9 compared to that is leagues above the obviously super outdated GoPro Hero Plus. Now I only use it really in 1080. I actually use it in 4K, but you know, I downsample it to 1080 and so on. It has amazing image quality, and it's really good for filming the POV type of stuff, where I put you guys on my camera and get a GoPro first person point of view, and it does all of that and it works really well. It's pretty decent at audio stuff if I need a really quick vlog, because I don't know, the audio is actually very good on these GoPros. Like, I actually put the little like wind muffs on the side of it so that, like, you know, wind isn't a huge issue. So, you know, GoPro Hero 9, great stuff. I really enjoy using it, and it just makes the shooting experience so much easier. So now we're gonna talk about the LumenQ Panel Pro. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this for actually, you know, indoor type of stuff. Like, I'm using it right now, and I just feel like sometimes it's not bright enough for what I need, especially indoors. But outdoors, for landscape photography in particular, I'm gonna be shooting at obscure times of day. Like, I'm shooting past sunset, I'm shooting before sunrise. And this is perfect for that, because if I want to capture video, like, I don't want to just show you a black canvas of nothing. Like, this helps me show what I'm shooting, especially like myself. If I'm vlogging for myself, like, I throw this on there and it's really good. But I just really enjoy using it, especially when I'm actually out there shooting, and it's really lightweight, really compact. I just literally slip it in there and it is perfectly fine. And then the last kind of part of my pocket, I just have spare batteries. I have Nikon Z6, GoPro Hero 9, and then the Shinobi batteries for that. Now just some other miscellaneous stuff. I have a head torch because, again, like, if you're shooting and you go past sunset, right, you want to be able to see where you're walking, and then before sunrise you want to see where you're walking to get to the location. So head torch is very important. Keep it in my side pocket. And the last thing I have is my portable charger. Make sure to keep my phone alive and I don't have to worry about battery. So yeah, that is pretty much it for what is in my bag, guys. I know I ran through a lot of stuff, but when it comes to the photo stuff, like, it's actually pretty minimal. Like, I really just need my tripod, you need the two cameras with the two lenses, and then you just have your filters, and that's pretty much it. But here's some things that I would really like to have in my bag. Like, I'm trying to switch out in 2022. First of all, I would love, like I said, I would love to exchange my Z50 and the 50 to 250 for a full frame equivalent. Now I'm thinking, if Nikon comes out with a camera that has autofocus like the Z9, but is in a smaller form factor like the Z6 body, I would absolutely pick that up, because I actually need the autofocus for, you know, all my freelance work, all the businesses I'm running and so on. You do need autofocus for that. But for landscape in particular, you can really just use any other camera. So that is really what I'm striving for in 2022. And then the Dji Air 2S is actually something I really, really like. I mean, it has the 1-inch sensor like the Mavic Pro 2, and it's super lightweight, compact. That is something I'd really want. The problem is there's not really space in it for my bag. I would have to move out essentially most of my video stuff, especially on the top compartment. But if I get someone to actually come out there and shoot, especially the B-roll, the video for me, I can make that a reality and get better photos. That is what I would want to do for you guys. So, you know, for the most part, that's it. Like, those two things are the only things I'd really change out. everything I really love. It just works so well. I really can't complain, and I'm very happy with the gear I have. So anyways, guys, that is pretty much all I have for today. Thank you for experiencing the world with me. And feel free to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'm going to be back making videos full time now. So you don't have to worry about me leaving or anything. I'm very excited. There's some very good stuff I have in store for you guys for 2022 and forever. So thank you guys so much for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.